Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the XYZ Experiment podcast. It's me, hello, Luke, your Gen Z, and I'm joined today, as always, with Darsh, our Gen Y, and Fee, our Gen X. Guys, I've got a really niche, interesting conversation topic for you today. My partner and I, over the last couple of weeks, have randomly just gotten back into early 2000s sitcoms. It's almost like we're kind of doing a little bit of like nostalgia mining, basically. And one thing that comes up a lot is this concept of like best friends. And it doesn't seem like a concept that has changed that much over like the decades. But I was really reflecting on it, and we were having a conversation about it the other day where we were like, who would we say are our best friends? Would we say that our partners are our best friends? Would we even use that terminology anymore? And I feel like just remembering like growing up, like this like idea of like someone's your best friend, that's like such a high honor. And when someone calls you their best friend, you're like, whoa, it's like a shot of like dopamine. But I'm not really sure if that's a term that's used as much with as much meaning and significance. But I
Is
want to
that
know,
because you were watching Friends?
I wasn't watching Friends. I was watching something even more lowbrow than Friends.
Okay.
Sorry, that was a hot take, but anyways, yeah. So I was just wondering, do you guys still use that concept? Is that something you've even been thinking about, the idea of best friends and whether or not we still use that terminology?
I still use the term best friends all the time.
How do
So,
you use it, Fiona?
so if I'm introducing a friend like who's come to visit me in Melbourne and we'll meet someone on the street and I'll say, "Oh, this is Dash. Dash, this is my best friend Andrea." I'll actually say those words. This is my best friend.
Mm.
And then but when those words come out of my mouth, I feel a little bit guilty because I've got like a group of five best friends.
Do they know they're in that group?
They do. Yeah, they do.
Hmm.
And, and so I should say, this is one of my best friends. That should be the way that I say it. So no, I still use that terminology all the time.
Do your
Uh,
friends still use it?
Yep. Yeah, we all still use it. So like we'll send each other texts, like for example, it's my birthday this week. And
Mm.
so I'll get a text to go to my best friend Fiona and then they
Oh,
write a message. So yeah, we
wow.
still use that terminology a lot. But I almost see it like a term of endearment, if that makes sense. Yeah,
Mm.
if it's more a term of endearment than anything else. But I don't call everybody my best friend. It's a group of people that I have been friends with since my teenage years. So
Mm.
it's a group of five women. One of them, oh no, two of them are in my adult years. So two of them in my adult years. One that I met in Geraldton in my 20s, and one that I met here in Melbourne in my 40s. So because I still make
Wow.
best friends, I still I still make best friends all the time. So
Yeah, I was gonna ask. So the idea then is you can actually, because I was wondering when you said that, okay, these kind of just long-standing friends, then
mm,
that intensity leads them to be your best. But you've said that you can develop best friends at any age, is what you're
yeah.
saying.
Yeah, at any age. So, and I would introduce like the friend from Geraldton, the friend from Melbourne, I would introduce them as my best friend as well.
To
So,
each other?
yeah, to each other. And they're both millennials. So, all my other friends are Gen X's and these two are Gen Y's, millennials. So, yeah, I don't have any Gen Z best friends, unfortunately.
Mm.
Except maybe
That's
you,
like
Luke.
a
Yes,
stab in the
I was
heart,
slightly
Luke.
offended, but that's all right.
Oh my God.
How about
Um,
you, Dash?
I'm just thinking, Luke, because in primary school, it was such a big thing to talk
yeah.
about who your best friends were. And I remember it was so awkward. Oh my God. On my birthday, I think I was in grade six, I had two of my friends both give me best friends necklaces, you know, the
Oh,
ones where you
yeah.
get half a heart, they get half a heart. And so I had to wear both. I mean, I wanted to wear both, but it was just awkward because I don't think they realized each other were going to do that to me. And so here I
Mm.
am with these two best friend charms. And it was a very beautiful gesture. I mean, I don't know or see them today, but um I felt like that was really a prominent conversation in primary school, really prominent in high school. I still would use it a little bit, but you know what I think makes it challenging is it's almost like for me and for millennials, I think in general, we have all these categories of friends. And so you'll hear things
Mm,
like, that person's my work bestie, or that's my work
Mm,
wife, or
yeah,
that's my work husband,
yeah.
or um, we have these weird turns of phrase. Does that mean they're my best friend, or they're just my best friend in that context?
Mm, mm.
yeah,
So true.
I agree. And I think that I don't want to say the term best friend has lost its like value, but I feel like there are so many kind of adjunct words we now use to describe people. I was even reflecting on like saying I love you to someone. Like I feel like we say oh like we use that word a lot more frequently. Like it's just you can use it and it doesn't have as much meaning.
Mm,
So I was just wondering, yeah, best friends. It's interesting that you say that, Dash. I feel like for me growing up, I actually don't really think I ever really used the word best friend. I remember my parents referencing people as my best friend, but I never really used it. And I feel like there might be a little bit of a cultural lens there of like growing up, I think my family, there was a lot of value on maintaining like familial relationships. And I was very, very fortunate that I had a lot of like cousins my age where they would kind of be, I guess, my closest friends, but I wouldn't call them my best friends because they're my cousins. So they're my cousins in the terms of hierarchy of relations. And then, kind of, when I started developing friends outside of my family, I just feel like I only really use the words good friends or like my best friends would be within a friend group. So I would reference everyone as like that's my friend group and everyone knew that they were my closest friends.
oh, yeah.
But I wouldn't say that I ever was saying, yeah,
But do you think there's a gender thing there? Because I feel like females are very overt in our naming of positions of people in our relationship structures. I don't know. That's just my. I don't know if as a male that wasn't maybe something you needed to do, or that guys would like. Would guys say to each other, "You're my best friend"? Like, is that something
I, th-
there'd be
I
a comfort level with?
I think that there would be, but I also I don't know either. This is just speculating, but I would say that maybe I'm also just simple, but like in terms of hierarchical relationships, I wouldn't say that I was thinking too much about whether or not someone was a best friend or a good friend or an acquaintance. So maybe there is something to that.
Mm,
My husband, he calls his best friend his best friend.
okay, there
Yeah.
goes the
Yeah,
gender
but
thing.
he's
Yeah.
Gen
Yeah.
X, so he's Gen X, you know. He has two, well, he really has one best friend that he would speak to. When I say speak, I mean text every day. Every day they're in
Mm,
contact and they're in
Wow.
different states here in Australia, but yeah, every day they would have contact. Whereas I don't have that sort of contact with my best friends. I cannot see one of my best friends or speak to one of my best friends for 3 or 4 months and they're still my best friend.
mm,
See, I find that really interesting because when you what makes them a best friend then if you're not seeing them and
Regularly.
connecting them with them regularly?
I think I was thinking while Luke was talking, because I wonder with Luke, with your age, Luke, that it's different to my age because we've had so many life experiences together and talking
mm,
about ups and downs, and we've been there for each other during really hard times and really fun times. And I often believe that it's the experiences you've had together that develops that deep bond. And so even if you don't talk for a long time, the moment you're together, it's like you can't stop talking. Does that make sense? Like I have so much to tell you. There is so much. Like I've got a friend I was meant to meet up with today, who and I would call her a best friend today, and it's been changed to next Saturday. We during COVID, we saw each other twice a week,
mm,
minimum twice a week. I haven't seen her since December. And it's like
Mm.
crazy, just crazy we haven't seen each other. And it's just been life just has got in the way, you know, like we've had bookings and then we've had to cancel that. And, you know, we've been texting each other just going, oh my God, I cannot wait to see you. There is so much I have to tell you, like so much I have to tell you. And so I think that's why she's one of my best friends because there's just, I want to share all the stuff that's going on in my life and I want to hear everything she has to tell me about what's going on in her life.
mm.
But you were still doing like the messaging and the texting in between.
Yeah. Yeah.
that
So
time.
I might not text her for a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden we'll text like, oh God, when are we going to catch up? Or oh, my folks are here at the moment. I'm not free for another week. Like just little texts like that. And then sometimes, like, well, during the last 4 months when I haven't seen her, we're like, bugger this. And one of us will call on a Friday night and have a chat over the phone. You know what I mean? Because it's just
Yeah.
been too long. We need to catch up. She says to me, a message wasn't going to do it. I need to talk to you, and we'll
Yeah.
we'll have a chat. So but yeah, like I think it's experiences. It's experience. Like my best friend in real reality is my husband. I've been married to him for over 30 years. I've been with him for almost 35 years. The person I've had the most life experiences with and who really knows me deep, deep into my core is my husband. So like if
Mm.
you said to me, who is your number one best friend, it would have to be my hubby. It really would be, but that's a good relationship.
Yeah. Well, but this is an interesting thing, and I'm interested in Luke's thoughts of this around Gen Zs. Is is there a distinction between the relationship between partners
Mm,
versus a relationship that is non-romantic and is platonic and a friendship?
mm.
Or is there a
Mm.
crossover?
From my take, and I think maybe this is cross-generational as well, I think that there is no way you can have a strong romantic relationship without the underpinnings of a friendship. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't like your partner, how are you going to be able to like be with them?
Mm.
So I do think that if you don't like you would want to have the strongest friendship with your partner, as Fee said, in order to then have a romantic relationship built on top of that. And that second part of your question, Dash, I think you have to have friends outside of your relationship as well, right? I think having those close friends is really important because it is a different dynamic, even though you'd say your best friend is your partner. I'd argue they've still got kind of different roles in your life. But Fee, when you were talking before, I think it's amazing that like the value of the word best friend has like retained, like you've retained the meaning of
Yeah.
that, because I just don't think that's as much used, I guess, for the people I'm in, like in my circles. But, and Dash, I want to get your take on this because I was thinking, okay, as kids, best friends, you're my best friend, that's the highest honor you can get. And I was thinking with my close friends now, what do we say to each other to like my closest friends to let each other know that you're my best friend essentially without saying that. And I have one friend in particular who studied here in Tasmania with me. He flew back to Canberra, really close friend of mine. We still send each other every couple of weeks like 20-minute voice notes. And
Yeah.
so we'll just like walk to work and listen to it like it's I'm basically
Like a
yeah, I'm
podcast.
basically recording a second podcast every second week and we're just listening to one another. And I was thinking, how do we sign off, right? And one we always say like I love you, and I think we say like I love you, brother. And I think that
Ah,
now when I'm talking to people, the way I know that we're like best friends is if you're kind of like it's related to family again. It's like I don't see you as a friend. I see you as like my brother or like a family member. Is that
interesting.
something you guys use? Do you guys use that terminology?
No. Oh, I guess do I call anyone sister? I think other people have done that to me, but that might be my personality. Maybe I'm not as like gushy. Um, I'm not saying you are gushy, but I'm just thinking like I might be a bit more reserved. I feel like for my where I am in life, it's almost like there's different tribal groups or there's different
Mm.
categories of groups. And so they all, and it's, what's the funniest thing is how the WhatsApp chat is named. So I have a group and we used to go out. Well, we still do go out, but the first time we went out was on a Wednesday night for dinner. And that group chat is called Wednesday Night Dinner, right?
Mm.
But the members of that group are all brown girls. And so we are also the brown girl catch up group, right? And I have another group which is a really new friendship group, which I'm excited about. We all turned up to an event wearing maroon. And so chat is called the meeting of Maroon Minds. I feel like we're kind of creating these little groups and we're celebrating that group, but we don't necessarily like then give each other terminologies around that. I don't know. I
Do
think
you
it's
mix
gonna.
the groups? Do you mix them at all?
I mean, I did for my 40th.
Yeah. But
Um,
socially, would you mix
mm,
them?
nah.
No. See, I mix my groups quite a lot.
I have book club groups. Yeah, I don't mix them that much.
Mm.
It's and so I just don't. I don't know. I don't feel like I use that terms as much, but I did used to when I was in my 20s and early 30s. Like I would use the term best friend a lot more than I do now. And I
Mm.
don't know whether or not it's as I've gotten older. Um, I kind of feel like there's like a youthful energy to that terminology.
Yeah, I
And I
agree.
feel like I'm almost not allowed to use it as much.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Well,
It's
that's obvious.
interesting when Luke was saying about he signs off about love you and things like that. One of my best friends has over the last couple of years used that at the end of a message or at the end of a phone call. We'll have a really great phone call, and at the end she goes, "Love you." And for me, that was something very new. I never used to
Mm.
say that. And she has a lot of younger friends than I do, like a lot of younger friends. And I think that terminology's come from that. And now, when I speak to her and she goes, "Love you," and I go, "I love you too." That's a new thing. That's a very new thing for me to say at the end. But now I've been saying it to more and more of my friends. But some of my friends I wouldn't say that to, but like that one in particular. And I wonder if it's because she mixes a lot with millennials and Gen Zs, if that's part of the language that they use. Because when she first
Mm.
started to say I love you, it's not that it was anything wrong. It's just like, oh, that's new. She never used to say that. And now she says it at the end. So it's really fascinating to me, Luke, that you say that. Like I
Yeah.
think she might be learning that.
And I wonder if it's basically kind of the same thing in a sense, because if you're introducing someone as your best friend, what are you trying to say? You're probably trying to say, "Hey, I want them to know that you mean a lot to me, that we're very close," and
Mm,
probably that means that you love them as well, right?
mm.
So instead of using like a title for it, it's more like you're just, I guess, directly expressing to them, "Hey, I love you."
Mm. It's probably true. I actually just really interesting you just said that because when I do introduce someone to, someone else and I say, "Oh, this is my best friend Kathy," I actually want people to know how important they are to me. This is a really
Mm.
important person
Important
in my
person.
life, like really important person standing next to me. I never thought about it until you just said that. It really is like I'm trying to display the significance of this relationship with me standing next to this person and yeah, spending time together and things like that.
Mm.
Yeah,
Well,
that's so true.
interesting. So my oldest friend, my first friend that I met in Australia, who we've had on the podcast, she's coming to do a Q&A fireside chat with my students on Tuesday. And we were just like texting back and forwards about what questions I was going to ask. And then she said, put the photo up of us as 3-year-olds on the screen so the students know that we go way back.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I think it is important to
Yeah.
acknowledge like you are the oldest friend I have in this country.
Yeah.
Actually, you are the oldest friend I have, full stop.
Yeah.
And it is kind of claiming that space. But like I wouldn't introduce her as my best friend. I would introduce her as this is my oldest and my
Yeah.
first friend that I had in
Mm.
Australia.
Yeah.
And here's a photo of evidence proof of us as 3-year-olds at the zoo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do think it is kind of raising the importance and the value of what that friendship is. But yeah, I don't know. I also think some of it is a personality thing because I would not easily say I love you to a friend.
Mm. Mm.
Mm.
But I think that's just me, not necessarily a reflection on my generation.
Do you have friendships with both sexes, best friends? Because I'm realizing as we speak, all of my best friends are women.
Mm.
I did have a work husband for quite a while in one of my jobs, and we're still good friends now, like really, really good friends, but I wouldn't say best friends when I was describing him. But I would
Mm.
definitely, like in public, go, "This is my work husband." I'd say that all the time.
I've got friends of all different, yeah, um, all across different demographics, and I would
Mm,
say that I would say I love you to all of like my close friends who I do love. I think
Mm.
it's funny what you were saying, Dash, and you guys might be different to me. I feel like if I was, even if it was my best friend, if I was out and I bumped into someone, I think I would be more uncomfortable introducing them as my best friend to that person than I would be just saying that I love them.
Mm.
Really?
Yeah.
But you're saying I love them or I love you to them individually, not in front of
Yeah,
another
I
friend.
think that's what it is because I kind of feel like I wonder if I just think it's a little bit alienating to your other friend being like, hey, this is my best friend.
Yeah. And I think that's the challenge is what happens when you have a friend who sees you as their best friend, but you don't see them as your best friend.
Mm.
Have you ever had to navigate that?
Oh God, all the time. I think that's when I started dropping it actually, because I was just like,
Mm,
oh, you're calling me your best friend, but I don't resonate with you calling me that. So I think unless there's a shared mutual understanding and you've defined the relationship and you're like, yeah, we're best friends, that's different. But if someone puts that title on me, um, or I might have done it to people where I've called them a best friend and they're like, am I really? What?
mm,
Um, so I think that's tricky. But going back to the cross, like gender identities, I have one friend who is in my work friend tribe who is male. That's it. I don't think I have any other because I feel like Scott feels that energy for me. I don't know if that's the same for you, Fiona, with Mladen. Like the male energy friendship, I feel is very different to the female energy friendship. Mm.
I think if I had a male best friend, it would actually be my husband's best friend. Yeah,
Ah,
mm,
so I would call him like his wife is one of my best friends that I was talking about, and and if we were out together and I was introducing both of them, I would go, "Oh, these are our best friends." I would actually say that and include him into that circle.
mm.
Definitely, I would. Yeah, and I would feel comfortable chatting to him. Well, I have over years. Maybe not as deep as with his wife. I mean, the great thing about your best friends, different to your husband, is you can complain about your husband to your best friends.
true, true. But you know, it does get awkward. I saw this clip. There's this comedian I really like, Atsuku.
Hmm.
She's got like a bowl cut. She's from, well, actually, she's Taiwanese,
Yeah.
half Taiwanese, half Japanese. Anyway, she's amazing. And she's like, talks this story about how she's hanging out with her girlfriends. They're all complaining about their husband and how their husband doesn't do this and doesn't do that and doesn't do the laundry and is really messy, etc., etc. And she's like, to their faces, I'm like, yep, yep. Oh my goodness, so bad. And then she walks away from the group and she's like, I am the husband. And I just have I sometimes feel that like when people are complaining about their husband, I'm like, well, my husband does all of the things you're complaining your husband does not do. And I don't feel I can contribute to this conversation because then I feel like I'm boasting about my husband because he's doing all of those things. My husband literally just did the grocery shopping. He's putting all the groceries away and he's doing the laundry. So like what on earth?
Fiona, I'm
Yes.
not saying that it doesn't sound like you maybe need any new best friends, but there's a possibility that if someone wants a best friend, you will be a best friend. How can
Yes.
someone become your best friend? What do they need to do?
Do you know sometimes, like I know this will sound weird. I know that I can make someone a best friend, but sometimes I think I can't fit that into my life. Does that make
Mm,
sense? That's a
Mm,
weird thing
hmm.
to say. I know it's a really weird thing to say, but it's just, it's not that I've got enough friends. It's just when I worked at this huge dental practice in the city, one time one of the staff, one of the other dentists said to me, "Do you know that every dentist here thinks that you're their best friend?" That's
Yeah,
what she
see?
said to me.
mm,
And she said it's because of the way I am genuinely interested in people and I genuinely want to know. And I'll go around and say hi to everybody when I get to work. I do it now. I'll put messages of encouragement. I'll go back and ask because I genuinely am like that. And so yeah, she said everyone thinks you're their best friend. And that was really like, oh wow, okay. Like that's a really nice thing. It's just I think for me, I do think my friendships are built on shared experiences. I really, really do. Like,
Mm.
I think that's where a lot of them come from. So, for example, like you guys with the podcast, I'm my good friend who I met through the gym. And we
Mm,
did boot camp together. You know, we didn't even know each other, and we became friends through boot camp. And then that became a very deep friendship. Uh, my friendships from Geraldton, really, it's from my husband working with his best friend. And then I met his wife, and his wife became one of my best friends. Two of my friends are from university. You know, we went through university together, and the other two are from, high school. And then another friend of mine who would be uh, an older generation, the boomer. I met her through her husband was one of the doctors at my surgery, and then I met her through her husband because she was such a different person, and I loved quirky people. So we made a friendship that way. And it can be all different things, but I think it's definitely shared experiences is what
Mm.
good sense of humor, good sense of self. And the other thing that's really important to me, if I don't speak to you for a couple of weeks, it means nothing.
Yeah.
We're still friends. It doesn't mean anything that we're still mates and we still, as soon as that phone gets picked up or that message gets sent, we are still right back where we started. Like there's no breakdown in that relationship. So I think if I had someone who was really demanding of my time or got upset that they hadn't heard from me for a couple of weeks, then that would be really hard for me to maintain
Mm.
that friendship. It's just, yeah, really hard. Now, I understand if I missed their birthday or something like that, and they'd get upset at me that you just didn't think that I was important enough to even just send me a text to say happy birthday. I get that. But just, yeah, or if you know that they're going through a really hard time as well. Because the
Mm.
mm,
interesting thing about friendships is it's and very good friendships is it's knowing their rhythms as well and knowing when they actually need to hear from you.
mm.
So there can be friends that I might not talk to for a month or two, and then all of a sudden I'm ringing them every second day because I've heard and I know that something's going on in their life and they need that at that stage. And then we might do that for 2 or 3 weeks and then they're okay. And it's like, "Oh, okay, I'll speak to them again in another month."
Mm.
So yeah, I think that's what a friendship means to me. Yeah.
Well, if anyone out there that sounds like you and Fiona would be a good fit, please contact us on the socials and we will get back to you.
We'll set you up. But it is
Yeah.
interesting because I actually think we'll all have different criteria. So I don't know, Luke, do you have different criteria of who would become a best friend, good friend, deep friend with you? What are you looking for?
I think shared experience, as Fee said, is definitely a big one. Having those, having chunks of your life that you can connect over. I think support as well. I don't necessarily know if you need to have been going through a really hard time and have them support you to mark you as a best friend, but I think that definitely knowing and having comfort and confidence that they would support you. And I think kind of part of shared experience would also be some points of commonality,
Mm,
but that's also just like it's basically everything that you'd want in a friend, basically dialed up, right?
yeah.
That's kind of how I see it.
How
I
about you,
think
Dash?
I am very drawn to people. I know this is going to sound woo. Oh my God, I don't mean it to sound woo, but I am very drawn to people's energy. And so I often will become friends with people who have quite a distinct energy about them. And often I think if I put it down to it, they're pretty confident. And I'm not saying like I can't be friends with people who aren't confident, but I feel like they are people who have a strong sense of worth in and of themselves, and they don't need me to plug
Mm,
that for them. So then we can be friends on like an equal footing because I'm not there to kind of make them feel better about themselves. I think that for me is quite an important element in friendships. And I do get that, we all go through crises of confidence and things that go on in our lives, but generally that they are people who are quite grounded and strong within themselves. I think the other thing for me is vulnerability, in the sense that all of the friends that I consider good friends across all of the different tribes, circumstances, are people who, if I share something vulnerable, they will also be sharing vulnerable things back. I kind of feel like it's unequal if I'm sharing personal information and, then you ask how you're going and they don't really share anything, because then it means that I don't feel like I can actually share what's going on in my life. And maybe they don't want to, or they're not in a position to. And that might be a situation where I'm like, well, I see you as a best friend, but maybe they don't see me as a best friend. Because they don't feel like they can share that information back. Who knows? But I do think the energy thing is quite important for me. And I don't like it. I find it hard with friends or acquaintances where I walk away feeling incredibly drained because I've had to be the one to drive the conversation the whole time. So I love it when there's good conversationalists.
And that's a really good point that I'm now really reflecting on, Darsh, as well, about like them having some sort of like, you're having a little bit of admiration for them as well.
Yeah.
Whether that be because of their ability to be vulnerable, their communication skills, some trait. I think you're right. Like there is something that draws you to people generally as well, right?
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes it's hard to articulate, but yeah, it's interesting. Gosh, we have such different generational lenses on this. It's so wild.
And I'll keep everyone updated as I try to become Fee's first Gen Z best friend.
Okay. Yes, do that. Break ground.